as we finish up the regular season and get ready for the conference tournament coming up in just about a month in Asheville. But we'll talk Citadel basketball here over the next hour with the coach and have a couple of players join us at some point as well. And plenty to do because it's been a couple of weeks and the Bulldogs have been in action quite a bit since the last time we were here. Coach is with us, of course, this evening. Coach, good evening. How are you?
Good to be here. Good to be here. We just had a good spirited practice, so now it's good to be here talking Bulldog basketball.
Yeah, absolutely. It's good to be back out here. Of course, last Monday the Bulldogs were in action playing a game, so good to be back on schedule this week. And it's been 2 weeks since we were here, so it's been 5 games have been played for the Citadel since the last time we were here, which is quite a bit. So to catch up, just looking back as we get ready now to go on the road against Chattanooga and Sanford this week. We're down to the final third of the conference schedule. As you look back in the last couple of weeks, just again, give us a little bit like a State of the Union address of where you think the program is right now as we are here in February and what you've liked from the team, what you've seen from the guys here these last couple of weeks.
Well, we kind of just did that today at practice. That's kind of was the theme of the practice, was kind of recap, where we've been, where we're going, where we think we are right now. And we went on the road. We had a 4-game spell on the road where we went, at Western Carolina, or we had Western Carolina at home, at Greensboro, at VMI, at Western, and we were able to win those last 2 road games, plus the Western game at home. So during that 4-game span where we won 3 games and only lost to Greensboro at their place, kind of showed our guys what kind of basketball we were playing at that time, and we were starting to take better care of the basketball. We were starting to rebound better, doing the things we've been preaching all year. And then these last 4 games, and I told them in the locker room when we were leaving Western that coming home would not win us any games. We were all excited to play in front of our home fans, and we had great crowds. And thank you to the cadets and Commandant's office and General Walters. Everything. I thought the support at home in this last homestand was terrific. But it wouldn't win us any games. We had to continue to play good basketball and continue to get better. I think we have in some areas. We were phenomenal at taking care of the basketball in the last, in this last couple weeks of the season. Several games under 10 turnovers, in a game and things like that. I think we improved offensively. We were more efficient. We were doing a lot of good things. The one bugaboo really was, our rebounding. And I showed our guys today the one stat that we keep it by percentage of shots missed of our opponent and how many of those do we get back. And the percentages were just too low. All 4 of these last games, much lower than the 4 previous games. I know we're capable of doing it. We did it in those 4 games against good teams. In fact, one of them was the same in Greensboro in that spell. And Western Carolina's proven to be one of the better teams in our league. And we did it against them. And we just weren't able to do it on this homestand. We spent a lot of time on that today at practice. We have to get back to really clearing our defensive boards. I think our first shot defense has been okay. We've defended the 3-point line well all year. We just have not defended the 2-point shot or cleared the boards, and that's where we're at right now.
Yeah, rebounding's been something we've talked about all year. What's the secret sauce when you've seen your team do a good job on the glass compared to these last couple of games? And what are some of the things you work on? Because obviously you can't, improve the height of some players during the season, or really ever at this point. So what can you do to make sure that you guys are doing a good job on the glass, each and every game?
Well, a lot of it comes down to positioning. We're not going to change how big or how strong we are at this point in the season, and we didn't certainly in the 4 games we did it well. But a discipline to our positioning defensively, what shots we get the opponent to take, where they take those shots from, much more difficult to rebound a driving shot. Someone gets into the heart of our defense and attacks the paint and puts up a shot. Usually you're drawing a second defender. Now you're into rotations on your rebounding. Tougher to clear those boards for us against, really athletic big teams. If we get them to play on the perimeter and take shots over top of a contested hand and those 3-point shots from maybe the top of the key area, we're really good at rebounding those. We need to force those type of shots more often, guard that ball a little bit better, and then we have a better chance of defending the boards. We'll never be, and I told our guys, that's why we keep percentage. I don't expect us with our size or height and those kind of things. We have some advantages against our opponents, and we handle the ball. We do some things that they can't do. But one of them won't be we lead the league in rebounding. I don't expect that, but I expect us to be really, really competitive, fight each possession. And if we can get somewhere middle of the pack on those defensive reboundings, then there will be wins. We will turn those into wins because we're doing too many other good things in other categories.
Going back to those games, of course, you never want to lose, and every loss stings, and the losses stick with you. probably more than even the wins do. But when you look back at this past week in particular, Chicago State, it happens essentially at the buzzer. VMI, that game's tied in the final 2 minutes. Are those two games that just the way they unfolded at the very end, when you were right there, had an opportunity, are those losses that, stick with you a little more or sting even a little more?
Well, I think so. I think a team, a coaching staff, a fan base, those are tough ones to bounce back. You got to show your resiliency. And I purposely didn't back down on this schedule to start the year. I said that from the beginning. It was going to be more Division I games we've ever played. I knew that this stretch of 4 games in 7 days was looming out there on our schedule. If we had won those 2 games, which we're certainly capable of doing, I think everybody has a different feel right now about what the week was like. But because we weren't able to, defend that last possession against Chicago State, and then obviously VMI, I thought we played really good basketball for a long period of time. We really let down at the end of that game. We have a different feel about what this week was like. But all those things go into the experiences of a player and a team, which I think will add to resiliency, add to competitiveness, help us build this program for where we want to go, which is winning those games in the Southern Conference Tournament this year and going forward. So, they do. They sting. They should. I'm glad they do. I don't want people to forget them, not even now or next year or the year after. I want it to sting for a while, and we know what we need to do to dig out of that hole.
Along those lines, what you just said there, obviously the easiest way to measure a team's success is in wins and losses, but there's a lot of other ways, too, to see how a team is improving or getting better. It's your first year back here building this program once again, and the culture and the system and everything else. A lot of new pieces for the players. So, look, wins, losses, the record is what it is. But what are some other things that you look at that the team is getting better as the year has gone on? We are moving in the right direction. What are some of the other things that you look for or have looked for these last couple of weeks that let you know the team is still rising, even if, this past week the wins were not there?
Well, I look at it as a program as a whole, and there's so many things that I think we've made progress on this year and getting back in. And it's everything from the radio show every week to how we approach going to class. Our guys are doing fantastic in the classroom. The participation of the fans. I think our crowds this weekend were terrific. Their core was great. Just everything from interest in the program, recruiting. There's so many progress things. But if you said specifically this team on the court, where are they? And I think you're starting to see them really take care of the basketball and play smart that way. That we want that to be a hallmark of who we are going forward, that we are kind of ball and player movement. We play smart on that offensive end. We really move the basketball. I think we're starting to do a lot better job of that. We've already alluded to we have to get tougher on the defensive glass and finishing games. But the way this team shoots free throws, we're one of the top 25 in the country shooting free throws. Our turnover percentage in the last month has been amongst the top 25 in the country. We're defending that 3-point line. Getting out there and not making it, and that's a tough thing to do in this day and age, and a very tough thing to do in our league, which is one of the best 3-point shooting leagues in the country. So there are a lot of, we're winning games on the road, and bottom line, you talk about wins and losses. I tell our guys it feels like we've lost some opportunities here, but look what's in front of us. We have 4 league wins. We have 6 games to go. We have a sweep over Western Carolina, who's near the top. We get to go play Chattanooga next. Another team that could potentially be viewed at in a tiebreaker situation for the seeding purposes in the tournament. We have some really, really big games coming up in these next 6. We do our job. We win some of those games. We could find ourselves not playing on that first night of the tournament at this point right now. And so a ton to play for because a lot of our league is really bunched up between 4 and 6 wins. And, that should be an exciting month. And so – just keep getting better, keep playing better, and you never know.
Yeah, every game's an opportunity, and we'll look ahead to the Chattanooga and Sanford trip coming up here this week. But before we take our first break, let me ask you about a couple of guys and what we saw from them these last couple of games that they really have stepped up. 2 of your veteran guards. First, in David Maynard, who these last 2 games has scored more than we've really ever seen for him in his 2 years with the Citadel. Just what you've seen from David. Even go back to the game at VMI. I remember asking you about him after that because he played really well there. These last couple of weeks, more points are coming for David. What you've seen from Maynard lately?
Well, Dave's a big key for us this next month. He's really knocking down shots right now. He's an extremely intelligent player, brings that veteran component to it, rarely turns the ball over, does a great job of handling the ball, but most importantly, he can help us spread that floor. So when you have him and Austin Ash out there, that floor can get pretty wide open. Guys like Stephen Clark, A.J. Smith, Madison Dewar, players like that have a lot of room to operate. And so Madison, not only with David, but also Elijah. 3 weeks ago, those two were struggling a little bit to make shots. As they've started to make shots, our offense has really kind of taken off, and that's been one of the big improvements in this last couple of weeks.
Yeah, you took the next question right out of my mouth, because I was going to ask you about Elijah Morgan, who scored in double figures. I think it's in 4 of the last 5 games. You mentioned that he was, struggling. He was slumping a little bit shooting. Now the shots are falling, and what a difference it has been just for him. What have you seen, or what does he bring to the offense when he's playing like he has been lately?
Well, when he lets it come to him and doesn't try to force that issue, and we feel like we have 2 point guards out there in him and Madison, so it's hard for teams to pressure us. And you'll see we're a little bit different than a lot of teams. Like our guards will take the ball out of bounds a lot. We really make sure that it's hard to turn us over. We had 1 turnover like that in the backcourt last game against Greensboro, but they're fantastic at that pressure. But I think it's one of the things that really helped us against Western and some other teams is that it is hard to turn us over. And by having Elijah and Madison out there together, that's part of that formula. If you remember when we were here before, it was Cameron Wells and Zach Urbanus, 2 guys who could play the point. You didn't really know who to pressure. And so that helps us not turn the ball over. So when Elijah's out there, he's a big part of that. He's also he's our best on-ball defender. I think he's got close to 50 steals on the year. So a really underrated part of his game is how he guards ball screens and what he gives us quickness and effectiveness on the ball, which is hard for freshmen like AJ and Madison to have sometimes. And then now knocking down that catch-and-shoot 3. He adds that floor spacing. So incredibly valuable player, and I just see the best days ahead of him.
You mentioned that on-ball defense. We just saw it with UNCG. The Langley twins are two of the top 3 in the conference in steals. You talked about Elijah Morgan being able to get steals in the defensive end. What does that do for a defense when you have that, the point guard on the defensive side of the basketball able to pressure so well out on the perimeter? How helpful and beneficial is that for a defense?
Well, offenses are so good and so advanced now, and so many guys can score. Anything you can do to disrupt timing and rhythm. You let a team get into rhythm very easily, and sooner or later they're going to start knocking down shots. And I thought that was one of the big things with VMI. I didn't like VMI or Greensboro. I think our interior defense passes into the interior, all those kind of things. We really kind of backed off our intensity and pressure, if you will, maybe avoiding fouls. Greensboro without Jackson Price, another body to put in there. But Elijah's very valuable on the perimeter of disrupting, timing and things like that, because he is a capable steal guy.
We'll take our first break. We'll continue to talk Citadel basketball here with the head coach of the Bulldogs from the Sportsbook of Charleston in North Charleston, where we are each Monday during the college basketball season, talking Citadel hoops. The Coach's Show brought to you by Cutwater Spirits. We'll come back with more as the Bulldogs get ready to hit the road this week to Chattanooga and Sanford with conference play continuing. But right now, time for a timeout here on the Coach's Show all across the Citadel Sports Network. Back on the Coaches Show with the head coach of the Bulldogs, Coach Conroy, joining us here once again this evening and at the Sportsbook of Charleston in North Charleston with the Coaches Show brought to you by Cutwater Spirits. We'll be here each Monday the rest of the Citadel basketball season, so come out and join us each and every week to talk Citadel hoops as we get ready for now the final third of the conference schedule already, and then eventually the conference tournament in Asheville as well. The Bulldogs coming off a homestand now hit the road again this week. Wednesday night at Chattanooga, 7 p.m. tip here. East Coast Eastern Time, and at Sanford 3 p.m. Eastern Time there in Birmingham Saturday afternoon as the Bulldogs take on Chattanooga and Sanford this week. So, Coach, back on the road. Start with Chattanooga Wednesday. As you mentioned, you know, a team that they're right there in the standings. You beat them the first go-around. You referenced it earlier, the ability to sweep Western Carolina this year. Now you have a chance to try to take both from another conference opponent. When you look at this opportunity at Chattanooga, you know, the importance of this game on the road to try to do exactly what I said, to try to beat a second opponent here in the conference both times and to maybe create a little breathing room or at least get a tiebreaker there in the standings for you.
No, it would be great. Any of these 6 games will be really important. Hopefully, you know, as we play in for seeding and things like that, and we'd love to put ourselves in position to be in position, if you will, that some of these tiebreakers matter. But it would start certainly with a good performance on Wednesday, and if we can do that, then we certainly can start talking that way about some of these other games and how they will affect seeding.
Jake Stevens has been out with a broken hand for Chattanooga. Just as you get ready for this game, you watch the mocks. I mean, how have things changed? You played them the first conference game, so I imagine both teams are pretty different, injuries aside, since then. But when you look at this mocks team, are they different than what you saw the first time? No question.
They have very much changed their approach a little bit. They're playing extremely fast. They're really relying on that three-point shot, beating you down the floor, spreading you out, using that three. Now, that was something that was a big part of them before, but you also had to deal with, you know, can you switch a ball? Can you switch a screen and have Stevens roll you into the post or things like that because of his size? And now they're a little bit smaller at that spot, as you can imagine, without him. And they're playing faster, getting guys out with their height and their smaller lineup and their speed, really spreading the floor quickly on you.
What about even for your guys? I know we kind of talked about it last segment with what you've seen from your team as the season's gone on. But again, thinking back to the first time you played Chattanooga, because that was the first conference game, and it seems so long ago, back in 2022. Now that you play the Mocs again, you may see a different Chattanooga team, but I imagine the Mocs are also preparing for a different Citadel team than what they saw in the first go-round.
I think so. I mean, I think as we alluded to in the last break, we've changed a little bit ourselves. Now we need to get back to rebounding how we were 4 games, ago before we came on the homestand. But all of the other things have trended in a positive direction even since that game. And I think we're a sounder ball handling basketball team. I think we're a better shooting basketball team. I think we're better facing different types of defenses than we were that first one. I remember the Chattanooga game. Their switching really bothered us early on. I think we're just more experienced and able to handle some of those things. So it should be an interesting matchup.
As we get ready for this trip, the team leaves tomorrow to Chattanooga in Tennessee, and then Sanford and Birmingham, Alabama on Saturday. If I peel back the curtain and share the details, we'll be flying on this trip. It's the first time that I have flown in conference play with the Citadel. Just how does that help impact things? Because these can be long trips, and we've done it this year going to VMI, a long time on the bus. You've been at other schools in bigger conferences where I'm sure you flew to every game. Are there benefits for the players to be able to fly and try to get somewhere? You spend less time on the road, a little more time maybe in that city and able to get ready for a game?
No question. I think, anybody, if things go well on the bus trip to Birmingham, going through Atlanta, you're probably talking about 8 hours if things go well. Certainly things have a chance to go worse than that and be 10 or 12 hours with traffic, accidents, things like that. And so the ability of our guys to get out and get there and get into our normal routine of eating, our dinner the night before at 7 and all those kind of things. And are those big bodies, like when you put Brady Spence and Stephen Clark and guys like that on a bus for that long, it takes a little while to recover. So this is a great help. It's part of our commitment and the university's commitment to, what we want to do as a basketball program. And so far, just by the way we've traveled in the buses and things like that, our road record is certainly reflective of it. And hopefully this will be another trip where that commitment and that investment will pay off. But I also think it sends a message to our guys that we're committed to improving the program each year.
Yeah, that's a good point. Looking ahead to the Sanford game on Saturday, I mean, they're one of the best teams in the conference. You guys faced them the first time. I know you take it one game at a time, but if we look ahead to that game in Birmingham on Saturday with Samford, I'm sure you look forward to another opportunity. Since they won that first matchup, you want to face them again, especially on their court. But Samford, another team in this conference, they're having a good year.
They really are. A lot of firepower. They can really spread you out. They can score from all 5 spots. This game will really test. We pride ourselves, and we think that's one of the reasons we're able to be successful on the road is our transition defense, our conversion defense, and getting back from the offense to the defensive end, and our commitment to doing that. Sometimes leaves us a little bit short on the offensive rebounding, but we want to get back and get our defense set, and I think that's one of the key things to winning on the road, key things to beating these teams that have such firepower like Chattanooga and Samford. I think it's why we beat Chattanooga last time and why we're in the game, with Samford to the end. So, but it'll be really tested on the road. You let really good teams like that run and get momentum at home with the home crowd. Boy, you're really putting yourself up against it.
You've mentioned before that what you like about this conference is that you have the ability to play everybody twice. So as a coach, how much do you look forward to these second matchups where you have, maybe the first time you play a team, you're still trying to figure some things out. What are they going to throw at us? But now that you go that second time, you have a little more familiarity with them. You're deeper into the conference schedule. You have more film and stats and numbers on them. Do you look forward to these second matchups against teams where you know what they may throw at you a little more?
I do, and as a coach, I do. I think it really makes for interesting battles, and you get to see the competitiveness of guys rise up, and you see rivalries develop. So I do like it as a coach. As a player, I love it. I love that part of it. I hope our guys embrace that and they love it as well. I think it's part of how basketball should be played. You come in as a freshman, and anybody you play in the conference tournament in that first round is going to be your third time playing them. If you happen to see somebody 2 years in a row in that conference tournament, you've played them 6 times already. Rivalries can happen really, really quickly, especially if you start knocking each other out in postseason play after you've played each other twice during the year, once at home, once on the road. So I think it's a fun way to do it.
Yeah, it absolutely is, and it's a great thing about the Southern Conference that you've touched on throughout this year. After you played Chattanooga and Samford, I'm sure we talked about it at the time, but let's think back to those games back in December when you played those 2 teams, because these are the teams you have to face this week. For Chattanooga, as we already said, it was a win. What did you like from your team's performance? And we did talk about how both teams are going to be different in this go-around, but what did you like about that specific performance that day that allowed you to get a win way back in December against Chattanooga?
Well, I thought we really swarmed Jake Stevens. Even though he had some good numbers, I thought our guys' attention to detail in the game plan, and they're coming back after Christmas, whatever. I thought they really were in tune with that and really went after him, and love the fact that how aggressive they were with a team that was picked, near the top of the league. They showed no fear that night. They showed a lot of courage and really attacking him, and so it was a neat way to start the conference season.
And then Samford, let me further test your memory. Samford, that was on New Year's Eve. Samford won by 12 in a game that you held them to 75 points at the McAllister Fieldhouse. Thinking back to that matchup, what were some of the, issues, for lack of a better term? What were some of the things that went into that game, the challenges against Samford that led to those Bulldogs getting the victory that day?
Well, a very, very talented offensive team, and I felt like we couldn't keep up with them. The down the stretch, they really executed and got what they wanted, and I thought where we were able to really get after Chattanooga up front. I thought that the bigs for Samford, the execution of their plays and their high-low and some of the other things on the interior of our defense, I thought they really exploited us there.
We'll be back on the road this entire week. The team leaves tomorrow, and then you don't get back to campus till probably after midnight on Saturday, so a long stretch on the road. Obviously, I know the wins were not there this past week, but how beneficial was it just to remain home and be able to practice in your own gym, and the guys, didn't have to worry about maybe getting the schoolwork done on the road, but, what was this past week like just to be able to stay home for almost 2 full weeks here before we leave town again tomorrow?
No, hopefully, and it's always tough second semester on guys academically with missing class and things like that. But we certainly minimized it these last 2 weeks and played a lot of basketball. And I think, regardless of how the scores came out, I think we definitely improved.
Well, we'll take another break. We'll come back. We'll continue to talk Citadel basketball as well as we get ready for the road trip. The team leaves tomorrow to head off to Tennessee, take on Chattanooga Wednesday night, Sanford on Saturday. We'll continue to look ahead to those games, catch up with some of the players of the Bulldogs as well, as it's the Coach's Show with the head coach of the Bulldogs, Coach Conroy, here from the Sportsbook of Charleston in North Charleston. The Coach's Show brought to you by Cutwater Spirits. We'll take another time out here all across the Citadel Sports Network. Coach's Show brought to you by Cutwater Spirits as we talk Citadel basketball here each and every Monday throughout the basketball season, and we get ready this week for the Citadel to go back out on the road tomorrow off to Chattanooga Wednesday night, Sanford on Saturday for more conference games. We head into the final third of the SoCon schedule already, which is a perfect segue to what we're going to do here this segment because we have a few different Bulldog freshmen with us here from the basketball team and heading towards the end of the first season for them with the Bulldogs, a year that all the seasons usually seem to go so quick. So good to be able to catch up with them. We'll shuffle them all in and out here in this segment, hand off the baton here throughout this segment before we wrap things up tonight. But pleased to be joined by three freshmen from the Bulldogs, starting with Madison Durr, who's back with us. And appreciate you joining us once again. Just how's everything been going since the last time we caught up?
Everything's been going well. Season's progressing. We're getting closer and closer towards March, and that's where everybody wants to be. I feel like we're moving in the right direction, figuring out the holes and what we need to get done to win. So everything's good.
What's it like, that transition? You know, I believe I asked you last time, the transition of going to high school to college, but then the college season, of course, is longer. It's more intensive or more involved. And there's that concern of rookies in the NBA, freshmen in college, for all sports. That as the season goes on, maybe the legs wear on you a little bit. As we're at this point of the season, how do you feel physically, mentally? How have things gone as you get ready or used to just the college ball here towards the end of your first season?
Mentally, I think I'm in a good place. Kind of like went through my little rough patch out there around December, and then I kind of figured out that it's ups and flows of college basketball, which I'm slowly starting to figure out is normal for everybody. Mm-hmm. Physically, I think my body's in good shape, been taking care of it, have a great training staff, great coaches understand that your body's going to hurt some days, but it's more mental when it comes to all that stuff. So as long as your mental's usually good, I can keep going, but definitely think it attributes to a little bit of high school and post-grad basketball that my body's kind of used to the daily struggle.
Yeah, I hear you. Getting back on the road this week, Chattanooga and Sanford, that's the other thing about college basketball that maybe not everybody experiences with high school. It depends on the different schedules of where guys play, but the opportunity to play all conference teams twice, one at home, one on the road. As you get ready to face Chattanooga and Sanford again, you've already faced some teams twice in the conference. Do you look forward to, because we were just talking about this with Coach, do you look forward to seeing these teams a second time, especially if maybe you didn't win the first matchup?
Definitely. I think once you see somebody the first time, you're trying to always figure them out. You're more concerned about what they do and how to stop what they do, but once you've seen them one time, now it's how can we win? Mm-hmm. We know what they're going to do. They're not going to be able to trick us. They've played as many games as we've had. Like Chattanooga, we beat them the first time. Stevens is out, or maybe, but we're trying to figure out how do we beat them again. We beat them the first time. They know what we're going to do. We know what they're going to throw at us, but who can win that chess match? And in Sanford, we feel like we let one go at home. We had them tied with 5 minutes to go and just couldn't finish it out. They're top of the conference, and that's going to be a big win for us to go moving forward when it comes to seeding and all that stuff later in March.
How have you enjoyed getting out on the road? Because now this week, the team leaves tomorrow. We'll be on the road until you get back late Saturday night. So what's that, about 5 days here on the road? Just this year traveling with the Bulldogs, with your teammates, how have the experiences been? Do you look forward to these road trips, getting out on the road, being in a hotel?
I like road trips.
Yeah.
Not the schoolwork that comes with missing it, but road trips are definitely fun. You get to be around your teammates more than anybody else. So just experiencing different places like Carolina, Butler, Clemson, all the different things. You're always traveling, see new stuff, go eat new places, so stuff like that. But no, road trips are definitely fun, but it's always better with wins.
Yeah, absolutely. And the Bulldogs have been good on the road this year. As we look forward to Chattanooga and Sanford, I'll put you on the spot. I'm sure Coach has been preaching things this week. What are some of the goals? What do you want to see from both yourself, your teammates this week on the road to make sure you guys are doing what you're supposed to try to get some conference wins?
For myself, more so just do whatever it takes to win. Maybe every night's not going to be my night, and I'm slowly starting to learn that more we play college basketball, but making sure we come out of both places with the win. As a team, I think we just need to find a way to connect and get the stops we need and rebound the ball better. Once we do those two things, offensively we're clicking, defensively is where probably our ups and flows may be, but rebounding the ball, once we secure that, I feel like there's no one in this conference that can beat us.
Well, appreciate you joining us. I wish you the best of luck here this week on the road and then throughout the season.
Thank you so much.
Well, I'll let you pick the next victim. I'll let you get off the hot seat, and you can call up whichever one you want.
AJ, come on.
As we shuffle guys in and out here in this segment, catching up with some of the Bulldog freshmen. And A.J. Smith will come join us here in just a moment as he makes his way up here at the Coach's Show. At the Sportsbook of Charleston in North Charleston, brought to you by Cutwater Spirits. Catching up with some of the freshmen for the Bulldogs here as we wind down their first season. A couple of weeks left in the regular season and then get ready for the conference tournament in Asheville. And A.J. Smith, freshman from Charlotte, the Charlotte area, is with us. Appreciate you coming out and joining us. How are you?
Good. I'm doing good.
Appreciate the time. So I'll ask you some of the same things we were just talking about. But for you here, your first year at the Bulldogs, we're 2/3 of the way through the conference schedule. Just how do you feel now, physically, mentally? How have you thought things have gone so far for your first collegiate season here with the Citadel?
Well, personally, I've learned so much more than any level of basketball I played before. You know, the college level is different than high school, than anything you ever played. So just soaking up the knowledge, the information that guys who, you know, have been here for so long are able to give me, like Coach, you know, players too, who've come from all different types of places. I've just learned so much so far.
What's been the biggest adjustment for you personally from a basketball perspective, from going from the high school level to coming here to the Division I level and playing a big role with the Citadel this year?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is just, you know, being smart, making the smart plays. You know, it's not all about the home run play. A lot of times in high school, you try and make the highlight plays, just about the simple things, you know, just trying to get it done. You know, live to see another day, you know, when you're playing out there.
You've had a good freshman season, and from my vantage point, it's looked like you have gotten better each and every week. Early on, a lot of times for freshmen, that when they make that transition, and you see what rookies in the NBA, you know, sometimes maybe the game feels a little too quick, and then things start to slow down. Did you feel that? Did you feel more comfortable, you know, a couple games into the season that things started to slow down?
Yeah, it was actually some advice Coach had gave me. He was like, you always seem to be moving a little too fast, so just before you do anything, just look to see what's there. And that's really helped me a lot, just help the game kind of slow down. You just look and just see what's out there. It sounds simple, but it's really effective, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. And you can see the results just watching you on the court. Of course, no player is pleased. You always want to be working on things. So for you, you know, again, from my vantage point, I think you've had an impressive freshman season. But what are some of the things you're working on a day-to-day basis or each week or throughout the season to make sure you continue to improve and become the best potential or best possible player you can?
I think it's just about being consistent with the little things. You know, whether it's crashing the boards, defending, boxing out. I think it's just being consistent, being somebody that my teammates can count on to do those things game in and game out. That's what I try and focus on, you know, moving forward.
Let's go back to the beginning. What brought you to the Citadel originally? What was it about the Bulldogs or even the Charleston area that you knew this was the spot for you?
Well, I have family roots down here. My aunt is down here. I have a lot of family down here on my dad's side. He used to come down here every summer just to hang out with the people. So that was big for me. And then, you know, talking with Coach Conroy, Coach Reynolds, and the vision they have for the program.
Yep.
You know, it seemed like a spot to fit me that I could, you know, make strides in history.
So have you spent time here prior to the whole recruitment process?
Oh, yeah, I would come down. My dad is kind of a tradition guy, so we would come down as a family every summer just like he did when he was a kid. So I'm really familiar with the area. It's a beautiful place.
Yeah, it sure is. So when the team plays at McAllister Fieldhouse, do you have family in attendance, you know, each home game?
Oh, yeah, it's funny you say that because my aunt, she brought her little, her little posse to the last game. They showed me support since my parents couldn't get down there from Charlotte, so it's always good to see them.
Yeah, that must be cool. That must be nice that even though you're away from home, you still have family here that can come out to the game, support you, and cheer you on.
Right, exactly. I love it. I love them.
Before we let you go, looking ahead to this week, on the road at Chattanooga, at Sanford, you know, and spend the next 5 days on the road. For you, for the team, just what are you looking for out of this week on the road to try to get back in the win column, get a couple of wins in the SoCon this week?
I think the biggest thing is just being a connected unit. You know, fighting every single second, every single possession, you know, and that leads to every single game. I think if we stick together and do what we've done all year, we can come out and win every single game we have on that road trip.
Well, appreciate the time. Appreciate you coming out and joining us here this evening and coming on the radio. And we'll let you off the hot seat and have the third freshman, Kobe, come up and join us. But appreciate you,
yes,
and
sir.
Best of luck this week.
Absolutely. Thank you.
A.J. Smith joining us as we shuffle the Bulldogs freshmen in and out here on this segment. Colby McAllister will join us here in just a moment, throwing the headset on as the Bulldogs get ready to hit the road this week. Appreciate you joining us.
Yes, sir.
How have things gone for you so far this freshman season, physically, mentally, just getting used to the college basketball, the transition to college basketball? How have things gone so far this year?
It's been good, just adjusting to the next level, getting my body right mentally and physically, and yeah.
So far, so good. With a name like McAllister, it seems fitting that you would come play for the Citadel and the McAllister Fieldhouse. So take us back to the origin story, just what brought you to the Citadel originally.
So I got recruited by Coach Baucom, and it was my only offer coming out of high school. And it's in Charleston. It's a military school, so it's a different than regular college. And I wanted a challenge, so I felt like and my last name, the Fieldhouse, is McAllister, so I was just like, it's God's plan. It's meant to be, so Yeah.
What was that process like in terms of the change with the coaching staff? How'd you know that it was still the right spot for you, that the Citadel is still where you want it to be?
You know, I was just putting my faith in God, and He has a plan for that. So I was just giving everything to Him. So He had a plan for me, and I just stuck it out, and I felt like this was the right decision to make. So,
what's the process been like for you to get ready, or I should say, go through that transition of going from high school ball to now coming here and playing in the Southern Conference? So what has that transition been like for you from a basketball perspective as this season's gone on? You jumped right on the scene there with Clemson and had a nice night.
Yeah.
How was that transition to get used to what it's like playing at the college level?
just trying to get your body physically and mentally right is just like very challenging, and that was one of my goals. That I was just trying to, get my body right for the next level, and that's what I've been trying to do. So
this season is making sure you get your body right, putting in maybe extra work. Does it feel like, for lack of a better term, more work? Because they always say, when you do something you enjoy, it's not work. My point being, have you had to commit yourself more, the effort, when it comes to playing at this level compared to what you had to do in years past,
Yes.
playing at the high school level?
Yes,
Yeah.
everything.
Big difference?
big difference, very big difference. It's very, very big difference.
As the team gets ready to hit the road, I've been asking all your teammates, we were talking about it earlier with Coach, but as you guys get ready to hit the road, Chattanooga and Sanford this week, first and foremost, do you like being on the road with the guys, hotel, in this case, getting on a plane and flying this week? Do you like these road trips?
I love road trips to connect with everybody, upperclassmen, and just trying to bond with them before they leave, just create close bonds with them. And that's the main thing.
What's been your favorite part so far this year as you look back about being part of this program and this school here for your freshman year?
I love road trips, and that's one of my favorite, and just playing with all the team, and yeah.
Perfect. Well, then it's a good thing we're hitting the road tomorrow. Before we let you go, Chattanooga and Sanford this week on the road. What are you looking for from yourself for the team this week to make sure it's a successful road trip to Tennessee and Alabama?
Just staying connected, positive, and just being positive with the team, and cheering everybody up. Just helping everybody confidence, building confidence is the really key. I feel like that's a big key on a team, and trying to build a team and connecting the team together. So.
Well, appreciate you taking some time out and coming out and joining us here this evening.
Yeah, yes, sir.
And best of luck here this week on the road to you and the entire Bulldog team. We'll come back, wrap things up here on the Coaches Show. Appreciate three of the Bulldogs freshmen coming out and talking Citadel Hoops with us here at the Sportsbook of Charleston in North Charleston. We'll come back and put a bow on things after this final break. It's the Coaches Show brought to you by Cutwater Spirits. We'll wrap things up next here after this all across the Citadel Sports Network. Back on the Coaches Show to wrap things up here tonight at the Sportsbook of Charleston in North Charleston. The Coaches Show brought to you by Cutwater Spirits. Appreciate the time from some of the Bulldogs freshmen coming out here and joining us in person last segment. If you ever miss anything from the show, you can always go back, watch it on demand on YouTube. Just search the Citadel Sports account on YouTube, and you can always find the shows on demand there as the Bulldogs get ready to hit the road this week to Chattanooga. Wednesday night, Sanford on Saturday before returning home next week, and we'll be back here next Monday to get ready for those games at the McAllister Fieldhouse and recap whatever happens this week. But got about 4 minutes left with Coach this evening. And Coach, first and foremost, the three of your freshmen that joined us there last segment, I know you guys, when you recruit, you always look for the type of character and people they are as opposed to just simply what they are on the basketball court. But every time players come and join us, always impressed by how well-spoken and how well they carry themselves. And so kind of a two-part question. Number one, I'm sure that's something you look for in the recruiting. But then number two, as a coach, a lot of times you're also kind of like a father figure that I'm sure that's also part of the coaching is to make sure that you help them also continue to grow to become not just good basketball players, but great people too when they leave your program.
Fantastic people, and those three are, and as all of our guys on our team are, and very proud of them, and proud of the growth and development they're showing, both, as you said, both on and off the floor. They're fun to be around. The days are long as you work through a season, but the seasons go really fast, and they go fast because you're dealing with quality people like that. And even today, we had a spirited practice and one where I thought a lot of learning took place, and it just speaks to their character. We just came off a tough 4-game road stand where we weren't as successful as we like, but yet their attitudes were terrific, and that's what you can control. You can always control your attitude and effort. These guys do a great job of that.
Just a couple last minutes with you. So, again, getting back to these games this week as the team hits the road, we usually end things by talking about keys. I know we've already probably touched on them throughout this hour. We certainly focused on rebounding earlier. But in order for this to be a successful road trip at Chattanooga-Sanford, just what do you want to see from you guys? What are you stressing to your team here these couple days to get ready for these matchups on the road this week?
Well, we're always trying to not only win that game, but get better as a basketball team ourselves. And then, as we've said numerous times, the next step for us is that physicality and that rebounding. We have to find a way. We're doing a great job in certain parts of the game that will lead toward winning, like taking care of the ball, getting back and getting our defense set. But we have to get better on the board. So I want to see that physicality. We have to do that in a disciplined way. We can't put people at the free throw line. We did that too many times with Chicago State. And then we also can't do it in a way where we're going to get too many offensive rebounds and not getting our defense back in set because Chattanooga runs so well. So a disciplined approach to winning that rebounding battle is really going to be the key to that Chattanooga game.
You mentioned Jackson Price unavailable last game. How is the team just overall health-wise at this part of the season? Is the team otherwise in good shape right now?
Hope to have Jackson back, and other than that, we're in great shape.
Yeah, which is always important this late in the year as the season goes on. We'll be back here next Monday as well. The Bulldogs hit the road this week with Chattanooga and Sanford on Saturday, and then whatever happens this week, we'll be back here on Monday to break it down. About 60 seconds left. Let me just ask you about. It's almost an obligatory question, but we haven't said anything about Stephen Clark yet tonight. Just for a guy like that, I know UNCG is always a bit of a tough matchup with their size and physicality, but for Stephen, just the keys for him to have a successful week too to help you out this week.
Well, I think as he has seen, once he went on that stretch of 25 and 26 and 27 points, he really became a marked man from a scouting report standpoint. People realized the production he would have if you didn't have a specific game plan for him. And they come with a lot more bodies, a lot more physicality. I think that was effective in some regards when our guys weren't shooting as well. But now with Maynard and Morgan and other guys, Endure hit 4 threes. Like guys start to knock down those shots. You can't do that as much. So for Steven, it's going to be we're going to still go to him. We're going to still give him the ball in different places. But as the game starts, you have to read how they're going to play you tonight. I think every night is going to be a little bit different. And, the other night he almost had a triple-double because he started really sharing the ball well. And I think that's a big key for him on the offensive end. And then defensively, we need him to lead the way on those boards. So when he gets up near 10 rebounds, that'd be a great sign for us.
Well, Coach, appreciate the time as always, and I wish you the best of luck this week on the road. Hopefully it's a great week for the Bulldogs. We'll be back here next Monday. But as always, appreciate you joining us tonight, and good luck this week.
Thank you. Go Dogs.
That's head coach Ed Conroy joining us as he does each and every week here in the Coaches Show. every Monday throughout the college basketball season, talking Citadel hoops from the Sportsbook of Charleston in North Charleston. The Coach's Show brought to you by Cutwater Spirits. We'll be back out here next Monday to talk more Citadel hoops. In the meantime, the Bulldogs hit the road to Chattanooga on Wednesday, Sanford on Saturday. You can catch it all right here all across the Citadel Sports Network.